Making sure all our tech is connected. I'm so excited to be here. Got my party hat on and got my favorite beverage, iced tea. In case you're wondering, we are ready for day 3 of the policy party. And I know a lot of you have been checking in with me on the side. Some of you have business today, can't be here, you're in meetings, and that's okay. I really hope you're catching the replays because we are making sure you have quality conversations available to you when it's convenient on your time. We're keeping them short and to the point so that you can get the information you need. And we're going to dive in to number 3 today, and we're super excited. So for anybody that's here live today, please say hello in the chat. Would love to see you on Facebook or in the Zoom meeting. Would love to see you. I can see Lindsay's here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know Peggy said she has a meeting today. Tanya's in a meeting. We've got others with sick kids, and so people are kind of all over the place this week. But I'm so excited for those of you that are participating, that are a part of this challenge. So thank you so much for coming and being part of this today. And so what we're going to talk about today, let's pull up the slides and so you guys can get a sense of where we're going. Oh, wait, let's make sure I get this done correctly. Me and my tech issues sometimes, man. Let's get the slides to work. Oh, here we go. And then share the screen. Here we go. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. We have the slides. Yay, we're doing it, people. We're doing it. So we are talking today about day 3. So we have some quotes from yesterday. Lindsay and Wendy were both on live yesterday, able to talk with us, changing things about calendars at home, trying to make some home policies that work better. Awesome. Great to see everybody doing that. And so glad to see people are participating. This works at home, at work, and in your business. So thanks so much to everybody that's on here. The quotes that are on the Zoom don't come across so cute to be able to put on here. We had a lot of people talking yesterday about what they would like to do. So where are we going to go? So today we are on principle 3, and this is where there's sort of a fork in the road for the people that are doing the personal side versus the people doing public. And so today we're going to talk a little bit next about what that looks like. So today it's a bite-sized piece. And we're going to talk about learn the lyrics. And I creatively borrowed this from Jamie Peth, who borrowed it from somebody else. And so we just continue to borrow and steal and use our own information. And so we're so grateful that you're here to learn this today, because this is such a key piece. So on the public policy side, we're going to think about not changing things just for change's sakes. Know the pros and the cons on what you want to fix before you get there, to waste little time. So many people want to change a law, a policy, a rule. And 1, it might not be able to be changed. 2, maybe it's already a law or a policy and people just aren't implementing it well. So you do all this work trying to change something to find out it's always been the law. That is so frustrating for people. So we're going to help you do that, making sure you know the pros and the cons before you even get into a subject. That'll save you a boatload of time on the front end. And on the personal growth side, we're going to talk about the thoughts we have in our head and actually start thinking through them, whether they're true or false, because sometimes we just believe whatever we think. And many times those things are not real. And so we need to think through, how do we get there? And how do we make sure that we're only talking about the important things in life? So we're going to do this on 2 different levels today. We're going to talk through the business side and we're going to talk through the personal side. Okay. So it's going to be a little bit smaller of an assignment, and you're only going to have to think through pros and cons. This is going to be real simple, real easy. So if you haven't been able to catch up on the homework, today is your day, because it's going to be simple. And if you're on the personal growth side, also simple, but we're going to look at what you need to change and whether it's true or not true. Because like I said, a lot of times we forget that things that we believe may not be true. So let's look at the pros and cons here. Man, just has issues all the darn time. Why doesn't it want to be where I want it to be? I want it to be here. Man, party plan and review. So you need to know where we've been. We have worked on prioritizing what we want to do first. We want to talk about who cares. So hopefully by today, you have some people in mind. On the personal side, you may be thinking, okay, I have a mentor that I want to work with, or a professional coach, or somebody that you want to work with on the personal side. On the professional side, you might be thinking, hey, I know somebody that cares about my topic that I can have a chat with. I know Wendy's talking about who she's going to work with for people in her school. I know that Nina is working with people. She's talking about issues for federal funding. And so she's talking about getting together with a group to see who those people are. And she doesn't know the specific people yet. The message she gave yesterday, she doesn't know the specific people yet, but she's on the path, on the train with the people working on the topic that'll lead her to those specific right people. And that's what we're talking about. And today we're going to talk about those pros and cons and the thoughts in our head. So let's talk here about the success path. So the success path, we're going to start out right where we are. We're talking about prioritizing champions and then thinking about what we're talking about, whether pros and cons, fact or fiction, it's all the same, whether it's personal or public. And so this is what we're going to do first. We're going to talk about the pros and cons on public policy. And you're going to think, well, why in the world would you want to do that? So sometimes we get really excited to change something and we only see the upside, right? In our opinion, it is the stupidest law, the stupidest rule ever. And if we just fixed it, life would be better. But when sometimes there's a downside to that, or it isn't possible to fix the way you think it is. So you get all ginned up about this issue, thinking it is the best idea since sliced bread, and you don't even think about the downsides. So let me give you an example. We talk about federal issues sometimes, but here's a really good one to show you how this works. So there's bills moving in Congress about lowering insulin drug prices for people. And most people who need insulin and those life-saving drugs think that is an amazing idea, right? To make it cost-effective for all people, because after all, they're dependent upon that for their life. So it makes a lot of sense from an advocate's point of view to really need those medications, right? And to make sure that they are cost-effective. But did you know there's some downsides to that? And I hadn't thought about this before, but I was listening to the news recently, and they're talking about the other side. And the other side is that when you pressurize a cost of something to go down below what it's worth, what it's costs to actually produce it. So say they put levels on what people can sell it for, but it costs more to make it. Companies then go out of business and stop making it. So what could end up happening is you could have fewer companies making the insulin, making it even harder to get to, just because you put a pressure on the top of the cap of how much it spends or how much it costs. Isn't that a crazy thought? So you could actually make supply issues worse by trying to change the pricing if you're not careful, if you don't do that in a balanced way. And so that could cause supply issues. And then doesn't matter what it costs, there's nobody making it anymore. And so then people can't have it. And so there's a real balancing act when it comes to making something affordable versus pushing people out of business to make it, that you have to balance to make sure people have both sides of the story. You see why that's important? Because it really is important to figure out what are the pros and cons. So for the public policy side, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the pros and the cons. You need to know both sides. Sometimes we just get in our little tunnel and we only see our perspective. And we need to talk about why it's important to know both sides, because you have to make the right decision that's best. And the only way to do that is if you hear both sides. And knowing the other side's point of view, the opposition, helps you fix your pitch. So if you're going to change something at the State House and you want to convince people that they need to change it, then you have to know both sides so that you know where they're coming from, so you know what argument to make, right? And almost never is there no opposition. There's usually a reason, whether you think it's stupid or not, that something exists as a policy or a rule at work or otherwise. And so there's a reason why it is. So instead of being disrespectful to that reason, or maybe to the person that created the rule or created the policy, you need to find out why. And sometimes you get to the bottom and we don't know why, or quote, it's always been that way. And those are easy ones to pick off. But there's other ones that are like, well, that rule is in effect because, and they start telling you this complicated reason why you have to have it. And then you may have to keep it, right? So before you waste your time trying to fix it, don't you want to know if it's possible to fix it and what the downsides could be? And then the last one is you need a reality check of your strategy before you move ahead. Why waste time on something you can't fix, or going to need a lot more work than what you have time to put into it? Or maybe you need a bigger coalition of people to help move it, right? If a lot of people are involved, maybe a lot of people need to help. So before you get involved, you need to know that information. It's going to be worth all your weight in gold to find that out first, so that you don't waste your time doing things that you don't need to do. So today, that's what we're going to focus on the public policy side, is knowing the pros and cons of the issue that you want to face. Now, on the public side, or on the private side, so you don't have to believe everything you think. Now, just because we think it doesn't mean it's true. And sometimes people have put thoughts into our heads, our parents, our television, advertising, that we think things are a certain way. And that doesn't mean it actually has to be that way. And so sometimes we have to stop and think, is that really the truth? Or am I not looking at it from another perspective? So let's think of an idea on that side. What your mind, thinks about, it brings about. Have you heard that before? What you think about, you bring about. So the things that you think are what comes true in your life. And so your mind thinks about things and it tells you a story, right? And it's going to tell you a story of whatever voices you've heard and whatever you've put in. That's why it's really important what you listen to, what you think about, what you put in each day, because it's going to tell you a story about that. So if you're thinking something about yourself, say you're telling yourself, I just cannot lose weight. That's the thought you have. And maybe there's some truth to that. It's been a struggle. It's been hard. It's been not working the way you want it, all those things. But you've got to stop and think, okay, can I really not? Or is it just I've told myself that story, right? That's an example of what we're talking about here. So what's really a fact that I could prove it? If I really eat a decent diet and don't eat a bunch of junk food, don't drink a lot of calories, work out like I should, do I really not lose weight? Or if I just do what I always do, eat what I always eat, don't change anything, that's why I don't lose weight. Which part's true? So you have to think about what's the fact, what's the fiction. So on this side, let's think about what do we need to know when we're going to find the facts, or what's an opinion? It's easy to get hyper-focused on our own opinion, just like on the public side, right? We get focused on what we think, right? We're the experts of our own story, yes, but sometimes we get misinformation in there and we continue to think it. And then we have some assumptions we easily think are true, and they're just assumptions. So like interpreting that X means Y. Because I can't lose weight, it means I have low metabolism. Or because I have low metabolism, it means I can't lose weight. Maybe those things aren't connected at all. Maybe one of those things aren't even true, but we connect it. Or causations, X causes Y. Every time I drink juice with sugar in it, I gain weight or whatever. And so you've connected two things that maybe those things are not exactly connected. And maybe you need to think about, really, are they the cause, or you just see them in tandem, right? The seasons you give up candy, you gain 20 pounds. Well, there's probably more to it than that, right? Don't quit eating candy and gain weight. So what is the difference there? And then look for universals in what you're thinking. What do you say is always true or never true? Most of the time, this is where our brain just picks up the recency. It's not called recency. It's the how often you say it. I can't remember the word for it, but you say it so many times that you just believe it's always, because that's what your brain looks for and remembers. So do you always gain weight in this? Can you never lose weight? Or is it just, well, it's slower than I want, and really I can sometimes, blah, 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 right? So what is always and never? And so you repeat that story, whether it's true or not. So in your homework for today, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about pros and cons on the public side, fact and opinion on the private side. So where do you go to get this information? If you like, where do you want, who do you find, and who do you talk to? Remember yesterday's conversation about our champions and the people that we want to work with? On the public side, that could be people that care about your topic, people that are elected, people that work in the field. All of those people are people that you could talk to about this to help you get another side of the story. If it's on the personal side, right? The people we talked about yesterday, the people that are in the same boat, that are kind of your supporters, that are kind of friends, or the mentors that are further ahead of you, or the professionals that you go to see. All of them can help you see a bigger picture of the story. So if you're thinking, I always think this, well, I wonder if it's true. There's lots of people that you could talk to. So thinking about who do you talk to? This is where you go. You can go to those champions. You can find groups on social media, or you can go to a place called answerthepublic.com. You can see exactly what questions people are asking about the issue to give you a different perspective. Now, I do want to give you a warning about Facebook groups, just because not all of them are the best and not all of them are quality. So you really need to read the rules of the groups to understand what information is allowed to be posted. And I'll give you an example. I won't name the group because I don't want to cause anybody any trouble. But there was a particular group, which I find kind of funny, and it's more of a group of young people wanting to figure out things about adulthood, like wanting to figure out like how to do things as a grown-up, right? And the place to ask safe questions. But if you looked into their rules, they didn't want you to give any resources to specific resources that could help. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So if you're a person that is like a mentor that knows some resources that can help people, but it's a group that won't let you give resources, that's a weird spot to be in. So you don't want to be in a group like that where you can't get other opinions. You can only get their opinion. That may not be the kind of group for you. So just be aware if you look online, but you can get all kinds of viewpoints online, but don't believe everything you think there either. So just make sure you know what you're thinking about. Because sometimes people think it's common sense, whatever you want, other people want. But when you have a conversation and you listen, sometimes you could be on opposite sides of the world. I'll give you a public policy story. Just happened this year. I work for an organization as a lobbyist who was very opposed to a particular piece of legislation. I mean, extremely opposed, like really ticked off, way over here about it, right? And I had a senator call me who wanted them to support his piece of legislation that literally is a 180-degree difference from where the organization stood. And he believed that we should support it because he could tell me all the reasons why it would be beneficial for our organization to support it and how we were short-sighted, not looking at the big picture, all of this stuff. I'm telling you, complete opposites on the spectrum, but both believe they're right. Now, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but right now we got people on two opposite sides of the universe wondering and cannot believe that the other people believe what they believe, right? The only way you get through that is you have to start listening and talking about what am I thinking? And is it right or is it wrong? Or are you wrong, right? And you don't know until you get other information. So the homework today, if you haven't gotten your homework yet, please go to your workbook. It's in the guides there in Facebook. If you still need a workbook, just reach out. We can get you the direct link, but it's really simple. On the T-chart on your party planner, for those that are on the public policy side, you're looking at what are the pros and the cons of fixing your issue that you want to talk about. Who's going to be for it? Who's going to be against it? What are the pros? What are the cons? And you can probably look this up real quick. What's the other side? You're going to know the pros, right? You're naturally going to know why you need to fix this. On the other side, it may come a little slower as to why people don't want you to fix it or why it's not going to get fixed anytime soon or what the challenges are. So you need to look at both sides and see and make that balanced. And then for those that are talking about the personal growth side, you want to talk about, so here's some questions to think about is like, where do I go to find your key people? Oh, I lost one. Where's my other homework? Geez, technology today. The other side of the party planner, I guess my second homework slide didn't make it. But if you're talking about the personal side, you're going to look at it the same way. And in your book, it talks about fact or opinion. And you're going to think the same thing. What about what I'm thinking is really true and I can prove it? Like I have data, I have evidence, you prove it. Versus what may be an opinion, an assumption, a never, an always that I just think. And where do you go to get that information? So think about who can you talk to that can give you another side of the story, because you just need to have a balance. I'm not asking you to change your opinion. I'm asking you to find out both sides of the issue. So before we go, just want to make sure that you see, we're going to talk here about questions. So yesterday we had a couple of questions submitted. We're getting some questions in the DMs and I appreciate that, or on the question link, and I can show you that above. But where do I look to find my key people was one of the questions. We get this question a lot in this course. How do I know who to find, right? If you're in public policy, the people that you work with at the State House, whoever is your legislator, may not be the expert in the topic. There are people that are considered committee chairs, co-chairs of each committee the committees are structured around a particular topic. So you could be like justice issues or transportation issues or ethics issues or human services, which is more like your, just all of the healthcare types of stuff. And so you need to know who is in which place, because the person that on a certain committee, they care more about the topic than maybe somebody else. You also need to think about people's backgrounds. So as legislators, people are citizen legislators. That means they come from every walk of life. There's bankers, there's farmers, there's teachers, they're retired from various industries, there's therapists, there's social workers. And so they come with a slant or a bent. And then some of them have family members, especially like in mental health and healthcare issues, they have family members that are impacted. So of course they have a different opinion. So you're looking for people who think and care about the topic you care about. And then what can I do? I got this question on the personal growth side. We talked about professionals, right? And you need professionals sometimes. And what can you do if you can't afford the help or you have limited ability to get it? Well, a lot of places do pro bono work or sliding scale fees. And if it's in the mental health space, there are specific places you can look to figure out what you're qualified for and what kind of benefits you can get. And if you're talking about other things, lots of times people have payment plans, and there's a lot of places that'll do it for free. They take on a certain number of people each year in order to do it for free. So I know we've talked about this before, but I'm putting this back up on at the end for your homework today, making sure that you have the ability to answer if you have questions. Please submit them. We will answer them again tomorrow. Tomorrow is an important day you don't want to miss. We're going to talk about what do you do next if you're working through this week and you're overwhelmed and you need more help. What do you do? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I cannot wait to see you then. Thanks everybody for stopping by. And for those that couldn't be here today, we missed you. Let us know you were here in the replay. Let us know that you're talking about pros and cons.